Join us on the Swim Monkey.
Swim Monkey TV. On the Monkey.
The blocks into a 2-day practice. Butterfly kicks and the hardest sport there is. Racing starts and don't breathe off the wall if you want to make it to Olympic team at all. Flip, turn, streamline, Florida swimming, under the flags and dryland training. Long course season and Caleb Dressel. Short course season, Elizabeth Feisel. Tune in now to the Swimmer Joe Show.
Sid, we are back after a week of doing dishes over there in the Olympic trials in Omaha, Nebraska. We did a 7-day stint in the washroom because we are idiots and left our room.
Hotel room, Joe. But you know what, Joe? At least they let us sleep right there, so we didn't have to go anywhere between shifts. So it was good. But we almost got to see our friend, one of our guests from Omaha, but we were too busy while we were there. But next year we'll all be there. But this week, Joe, we're in July. It's July 2020. Woo, I feel like Rod Serling, you know.
It's July 1. It's July 1. And you know what? There's still people not in the pool, but there are some people in the pool, and it's just a crazy time. And we're going to find out from all over the country today. Got
some great coaches for the happy hour tonight.
I'm so psyched. And all the coaches here, I'm number 5 in knowledge. So hopefully I can learn something here and get going. But I will tell you this. If you guys are watching, click on my face, and then you'll start to see the chats going, okay? We need to have you guys all in the same chat so we can all talk and you can ask these guys questions. So remember, click on my face, and you'll start to see the chats going on. That's what we need to do. Now, let's talk about what we did a couple of weeks ago. We talked about ECU, Eastern Carolina. There's a quick update. They are having a call tonight, and they have a huge donor that if they can get some of the people from the 70s to give some money tonight, they have a donor that's going to match. All right. And he is going to dump another $50,000 to $100,000 in there, and it's going to get them almost $700,000. So Sid, how much does it take?
Joe, you know, I talked to Kate Moore, who's been, was on our show and has been really one of the backbones of this whole, and there's so many Purple Pirates working on this. I'm so proud of you guys. Eastern Carolina blood. I have faith, Joe. I have faith.
You do have faith.
Faith in humanity restored, because we're going to bring it back. Okay. This is actually from a honesty bar in the Seychelles. That's another story. But ECU, stay on it. They're doing a call tonight. They got a couple Olympians. They got Lauren Perdue, of course, who grew up in Greenville right there and swam in that pool many times. And I hooked him up with Ashley Twitchell, and she was more than happy. She is she's a North Carolina Olympian in the future. She does amazing things. They both do. Lauren. So those kind of athletes are getting on to try. I know they've got a big schedule of pushing, and it's tough, though. You lose that momentum after the first week or two. That tonight's a big thing for the Purple Pirates. So if you have any friends who ever swam for East Carolina, or you know anybody, kick them in the butt, tell them to get on. And if you're one of those guys with a lot of resources, probably not Joe or me or the guys getting on tonight, but you want to help the Purple Pirates, look them up. It's Save ECU Swimming, right, Joe? Is that what it is? We'll get it up.
We'll get a link up for sure, and we wish those guys the best of luck, because I really do want to see them swimming. Tons of history there, and championships, the whole 9 yards. Next thing, let's talk about Swim Across America. Everybody that we know, we know someone that has died from cancer or has had cancer. And they are starting a new thing, and we're going to put that up for you real quick. This is the link, and this is for swim teams to do. And you guys need to look this over, go onto this link, and basically what it is Craig Beardsley. You guys all know Craig Beardsley. They have a new thing that they're doing. Pretty self-explanatory. They have one person on the team register. Click Start a Team and become a team captain, and then everyone else can register. And basically what you do, if you do a $25 self-donation, you get a cool 2020 shirt. So let's help the cancer cause. My mom died of cancer. So I think it's it's just what we need to do to help this along. And Swim Across America is such an awesome deal.
Oh, Joe, it's a great organization. And Beards was on my show a couple weeks back. He has dedicated his life to this, and we should, as swimmer, it's easy to find. SwimAcrossAmerica.org. It's the 2020, and we're all getting on board. So
yeah, and
for a great cause. Great cause.
Yeah, absolute great cause. All right, we're going to bring our guys in. Listen, we've got coaches from all over the country, and listen, probably the guy that I've known the longest is probably Duffy Dillon. Now, I knew him as a swimmer at Fort Lauderdale, and he coaches now out in Colorado at Fountain Fort Carson. Let's bring him in, Duffy Dillon. Everybody, hear applause. I need my Duffy Dillon applause. Hey, Duffy, how you doing, bud?
I remember Duffy as that little teenage kid.
How you doing, fellas?
What's up, horse? What's up, horse? So
that was a while ago.
And then we got
what's up, baby?
That's right. Of course, we're talking about the legendary Jack Nelson. He calls everybody horse and baby, and the dude's 5'2". So I mean, he's awesome. And then also we've also got Coach Jimmy Parmenter. He's up there in Omaha, Nebraska, right, with BT Brownell, right?
Yep.
He is there, Talbot. And welcome to the show, Jimmy. And I've known Jimmy a long time. I think we were on the same team, or you were on the West team or something at Sports Fest. I can't remember which one it was, but I think you were there with me. And then also we have Brent Mitchell, Metroplex Aquatics head coach. He is he loves to create havoc. No, I'm just kidding. He is a good friend. I've known him since school. And he's a Florida Gator. Duffy's a Florida Gator. And Jimmy, if you guys can guess where he went to school in the chat right now, that would be a huge deal. So I'll give you about 10 seconds for that. And we're going to talk about that, Jimmy, real quick, because I want to know how you ended up there. All right. So
absolutely.
All right. So listen, again, if you need to chime in on the chat, you need to click on my face, and then you'll see the chat rolling. All right. So where did you go to school, Jimmy?
I went to school at University of Alaska in Anchorage.
How in the heck did you get to go there? And do they still have a team?
No, actually, they dropped the team, I believe.
Right after you. They're like, we're done.
Pretty much. They dropped it in the early 90s, I believe. There's Chloe. She got it. Actually,
how'd you get it? How'd you get up there? I mean,
I was basically going to be going to University of Miami. I had one recruiting trip left. It's actually a funny story. I got a phone call. It was kind of crackling. My dad said, "Hey, there's a coach on the phone for you from University of Alaska." And I got on the phone and actually hung up on the guy. I actually thought it was Duffy playing a joke on me. So I hung up on the coach. He called me back and said, "No, this isn't a joke." He said, "Do you have a recruiting trip left?" And I had one remaining, so he flew me up there. And before I even went up there, my dad was like, "Don't sign anything. You're not going up there." And when I got up there, they took me snow skiing and did a lot of fun things. And the travel schedule was great. It was like either keep going up and down the East Coast or go to Alaska, learn some new things. And our training trip every year was in Hawaii. So I get to go to Hawaii every year and swam the Rainbow Invitational. It was a great time.
What's the what is your mascot up there in Alaska?
It was a sea wolf. Ooh.
What's a sea wolf? What was that? What was that?
Woo. It's a mythological Eskimo thing that came from the ocean or something like that. So
what's the coolest thing you learned out of that school? And then we'll get over here and talk about Duffy in a minute, because I got some cool stories about Duffy.
The coolest thing?
Or what'd you learn? What'd you learn from Alaska?
Untrue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just had a great time learning about Alaska. And, I actually worked in the oil field when I finished school, so that was pretty cool. And it was just, the experience of traveling the world, on a swimming scholarship. So pretty
But
cool.
Jimmy, we all know coaching's in your blood, and you entered into the how many years at the Plantation Club?
I was there 28 years. Actually walked on the deck to swim, and June Woger asked me if I wanted a job, and 3 months later, I ended up the head age group coach. 10 years later, I was the head coach. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's an awesome pool too. I mean, you had 250-meter pools. Brent, I don't know if you've been there. You've probably been there, but 250-meter pools and just a cool facility. You can run programs all day. And, I've learned a lot, Sid, from Jimmy telling me how he's doing stuff with the city for our stuff up here at Winter Park, running that pool. So,
well, the rumor was when you left the Florida Gold Coast, you were retiring and you're up there because we know how many hours a week you put in and how many meets a year you guys put on. And your boy Terrell's doing a great job, but it's definitely it's 28 years is a long time, and you're still missed. I called him Jimmy once or twice this year.
That's funny. I'm still putting in the hours now here. So
that's what we're going to talk. So that's what we're going to talk about. So all right, let's talk about. Obviously, the stuff that's going on, I know people are just sick of hearing it, and we'll go through this just a couple of minutes because I want to hear what's going on in Texas. I know Texas is kind of like Florida, and the governors are like, we're opening, whatever. So Brent, give us a little update on what's going on in Texas, and if you guys have any questions for Brent, let us know.
The biggest problem right now is, I would say, different groups run different pools. So you've got independent school districts that are running their own facilities, and they're only allowing certain, like, their kids that go to their schools in. Then you have other places like city pools that are making choices of whether they're going to let people in, whether they're not. We just opened another one. We're probably about 75% right now of the pools that we run that are able to swim, but some are 2 to a lane, some are 3 to a lane, some are 4 to a lane. I don't know anybody that's gone above 4 to a lane yet, where one's on the wall, one's 6 feet off the wall. And you're basically going to, everybody's being tested. Everybody's having to go through temperature checks when they come in. It's been a different world. I mean, it really has. And everybody wants to know when they're going to be able to race and when they're going to be able to do things.
What size? What size is your team? And I know your size, but let the audience know what size your team is.
We're about 1,200.
Wow. How do you manage all those guys with something like this going on? I mean, it must be crazy.
Well, I be honest, I've been very lucky with the coaches that I've had, that I've been around and surrounded with, and one of the main people is Chris Davis at Swim Atlanta. Without him, there's no way. I got to sit there as a swimmer towards the end of my career and watch him coach and watch him run it. And then he allowed me to coach for him for a few years. And I was able to watch. I sat there and just listened to him and watched how he ran the programs and what he did. And I still, to this day, call him up for huge advice, because the man is an unbelievable mentor. He's just an unbelievable person and helps a lot of people.
Wait, were you a Dynamo boy? I can't remember.
I grew up Dynamo. Well, I was everywhere. Actually, my first age group coach, to be funny, is David Marsh. So, yeah, at Auburn, in Auburn. So I went through and ended up swimming for Alex Braunfeld at Dynamo when we won the national title in '89. Not because of me, but because we had some stud girls. But and then when I went to Florida, swam for Randy. And swam for Skip Foster and swam for Chris Martin, 3 coaches in 4 years at Florida. I came back and actually started working with Chris Davis.
So you guys, tell me a little bit about what you're trying to do, Duffy. What are you doing during all this? What's going on in Colorado?
We just got back in the water beginning of June. We were limited to 10 people at a time. So and the only things that are allowed right now are high school camps. So we are considered a high school camp. It's not our club program. So we'll run an hour's workout for 10 kids and then 30 minutes to transition, clean, bring in the next 10, 30 minutes, and then the next 10. It's all voluntary. The school district I work for, it's a single high school district that serves Fort Carson, the 4th Infantry Brigade that is the final send-off to our soldiers that go to Iraq and Afghanistan. About 70% of our kids are military, and the other 30% are what we call the townies that live in Fountain.
Do you guys ever go train with those guys? Do a little that's what they've been doing lately at UF is the whole Army training in the beginning. You know what I'm talking about, Sid, right?
Oh, we train there. I don't know that we train with them.
Well, Troy would take him. Troy would take him over there, and they do the old. They probably did a little dog and pony.
Yeah. Oh no! And when my son was swimming for Troy, they would do the boot camp. They'd go to the beach and they'd run like 8 hours of, it was nuts. Some of the stuff they did. But Duffy, you guys are at least starting to get him into the water a little bit. I think, Joe, it's so inconsistent, and that's. I was on a couple other Zoom calls today. I was on the FHSAA, the Coronavirus Task Force for our high school association, and I watched that live. Picked up a lot of information about the people making the decision there. They're only making a recommendation, but they did make a recommendation that's going to go to the FHSAA board to push back the current start date of the 27th of July to August 10th. But there was a lot of talk about, well, one size doesn't fit all, and why the whole panhandle is completely different than, Broward or Dade. And so with a state this large, and you must be facing it a lot in Texas, Brent, and you guys are, but the idea that, I thought our guy, Justin Harrison, did a great job presenting his case. And you can get this on YouTube. If you're a Florida high school coach, you can go to Google FHSAA YouTube and you can get today's video. But Justin had a plan that kind of all of the championships would end up in the same place. But you would only start with people that started the same week as you. And you couldn't schedule a competition unless somebody else said, okay, we're going to start in plan A, plan B. So that it meant he said, hey, I know it means some football teams might only get 4 or 5 games, but he said versus losing it, or they had all these crazy plans. Hey, did anybody want to put one back? Let's do football next spring or this. And it was just, you can imagine. And that's what everybody's facing around the world. So hats off to you coaches that can get it done. We're doing the ocean 5 days a week and we're loving it. We're choosing to love it. We'd like to be back in our pool. We have about 5, I think of the 9 schools in our league, coaches, half of them were in the pool. One was in, and then a parent got COVID, and then they said, okay, that's enough. Well, you guys are out. And they just put everybody out because the parent caught it. But yeah.
Wow.
I know. We're hearing it all around like Central Florida where they're going, oh, my friend's brother's sister has it. Do I need to sit out? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm trying to figure out, did you go and hug the person? I mean, it was like, and then someone brought it up to me the other day. We're like, there are just other sicknesses going on in the world. It's not like all the other sicknesses just stopped, All right, COVID's out there. Everything else is off the table. So I don't know. A lot of people are knee jerking.
We're going through a whole protocol. We have to take our own temperature going in when our kids come in, take their temperature. We've got a Google form that we fill out, set up by our school district, that asks them the 5 questions. If they've got a temperature, fever, cough, sneeze, have they run into somebody in COVID? And that's all getting tabulated real time. And then they send that to the health department. So this coming Monday, we get to go to 16 kids. I have an 8-lane pool, so I can go to 2 per lane on opposite ends.
Wow.
We're doing the same form.
What about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, we're going on our 5th week now. Very fortunate. We were allowed in at our pool. We're one of 2 teams allowed to get started up here in Nebraska. The problem up here is the majority of the pools are at high schools and all the schools are public schools. So most of the teams are scrambling, trying to find country clubs. The outdoor facilities actually just opened today. Someone donated. They weren't going to open. Someone donated $700,000 to open all the outdoor pools. So hopefully those, those teams will be able to get in those facilities. But we're 12, 6 lanes. 6-lane pool. We're 12 at a time at opposite ends, doing the same thing, taking temperature.
Yeah. And that's where we are, scattered around the whole country, Joe. I mean, you saw, hey, Duffy, you got to help Lisa get some audio at some point. Maybe she's a great, hell of a sprinter. She's got enough computers better than me. I know she's younger than me.
She just got to refresh. She refresh or restart and come back in.
I can tell her, but she can't hear me. Hey, so Brent, I want to know, I want to pick your brain a little bit. The scuttlebutt that I'm hearing as of today is, I guess Austin and Georgia Tech are scheduled to host our junior nationals, correct?
Correct.
I did hear, and now this is from people on the officials committee. The officials love to talk, so I'm not going to name any names. This came from the officials. It looks like these meets are going to be off. That they're not going to have them now. And I'm like, what's the scuttlebutt on drop deadline? Have you heard anything from USA Swimming? And two-part question for you, Brent. What do you see going forward in the competitive realm? And I know we've got a lot of things out there happening, but types of meets that we should be looking forward to. And so two parts. Do you think junior nationals and nationals will happen this? And then secondly, whether they do or not, where are we going to be going competitively in the future?
I think it's a great question. Right now, our LSC, North Texas, is basically giving us a lot of information following what USA Swimming is sending out. Like right now, we know about July. I mean, I'm looking to August. I think we were supposed to do tier meets and things like that were supposed to be set up like Grand Prix style. As for junior nationals, I haven't heard a word. I mean, and sort of like everything that's going on right now, I'm living month to month. It's almost like I can't look forward because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I think that's been the biggest struggle on everything that we're doing is, okay, what's going to be in front of me tomorrow? It's like you wake up in the morning, you got 45 texts or 45 emails, and it's like, how are you going to handle this? And you move forward through the day. And, as coaches, you're wanting to do the best for the kids, but you're also having to watch everything that's going on with COVID numbers, Texas, what they're saying. It's reading Twitter, seeing things that are going on social media wise with Dallas County, for instance, Collin County, where I am, just different ideas of what's going around in my area. Texas is so big. San Antonio is going to be different. Houston's going to be different. I mean, and even Austin. Austin is in South Texas LSC. So we're never, I wouldn't know other than probably talking to someone like Eddie, but I think everybody's sort of on the same page right now. I think the only way that we're going to be able to do anything is virtual meets for a while. I'm hoping that some way that we can connect with other teams and race each other and have a little bit of fun. But I think that's the only way. But we're spraying down the blocks. When kids get up on the block, kid walks up there, we're spraying it down immediately when they're done. We've got the CDC required stuff just to make sure everything is done properly.
Yeah, you said month to month. It seems like in Florida it is week to week. I mean, I'm so worried about what Friday is going to happen. And then Monday I'm like, are we going to be open? I have no idea. And it's kind of scary. And then also schools. The schools are. I just got something. You get these messages from the superintendent. And a few days ago I said, well, they did a survey. Do you want to stay at home this fall? Do you want to do a mixed program where it's half virtual, half at school, or do you want to all go to school? Well, it was inconclusive. Everybody was like, it was even all the way across. So I don't even know what they're going to do this fall. So that would probably stop all the athletics if it's all virtual. So I don't know what they're going to do. And they haven't told us yet. And the season for Florida anyway starts July 27th. So it's going to be a little crazy. Like I said, day to day. By the way, you said virtual meets. Mm-hmm. We did our first virtual meet. Okay, Sid had 3 kids in it. Blue Dolphins had a bunch in it. Southwest Stars had a bunch in it. And then Charlie's Branch and Oviedo also had a bunch in it. So waiting for the final results, Sid. But we did our first virtual meet. And I set it up.
We only have 4 kids because they swim with Joe on every vacation they can get. We sent them up there and gave Joe more work, but because their parents all swam with Joe growing up at Winter Park. So guys, talking virtual meets. Have any of you used Charlie Houchin's software yet? Have you seen it? It's really intriguing to me, and I like it. And I knew that he kind of developed it for summer clubs. Oh, you don't need electronic timers, but I think tweaking some virtual meets is a good way to go. I think more and more, Joe, where you could determine, and I'm sure the guys at USA Swimming would help us, even though Marquesi's stepping down, and God bless him, man. But those guys who, and they're going to be undermanned for a little while, but you can just look at the club rankings and say, throw a net out there for every club ranked 500 ahead of you and 500 behind you and say, okay, of you 1,000 clubs, here's the type of meets I want to run. I want to get 8 teams in this group of 1,000 to say, we'll do an hour meet for our 12 and unders every Wednesday and an hour meet every Friday for our 13 and overs. And we'll run these events the first week, and call it whatever. You virtual champ, but the thing that makes dual meets fun is if they're close. And if you're rolling up the scores at and maybe a try meet, maybe, but you got to make sure the teams are not going to be like, Santa Clara against Culver City Bicycle Club,
So Duffy, and that's a good point. I mean, Duffy, you've done a ton of meets. All of you guys have done a ton of meets. What does your virtual meet look like? Or what is your, if you could do anything you wanted in terms of meets and things across the country, what would you do? Because I know that you're a business guy.
Well,
so what would be the deal?
I've looked at Charlie's product, but I haven't had a chance to actually talk to him about it. Jimmy has. Jimmy and I have talked. Jimmy and I got as far as trying to simulcast something through Facebook Live, and he would take the odd lanes and I would take the even lanes, and we'd try to go at it that way, high school order of events. But right now we don't even know how many kids we can get in the facility just yet.
What about you, Jimmy? You've run 8 gajillion meets as well. What are you thinking up there? And by
I've
the way,
actually I've definitely looked into Charlie's product, and I've already put together an 8 weeks, running 4 events, kind of like we did during the hurricane down there, running 4 events. You have a week to do it, and doing meets every 2 weeks, virtual meets. Whoever wants to opt in can do it. And I actually came up with a price of $75 for each kid to join the swim league. 25 of it would go to Midwestern Swimming. Each team gets to keep, the other $50. So it's helping each team make some money. So, I have a team of 60 kids. If I got all 60 kids, that's an extra $3,000 for my program. But if you have a large program, you can make some extra, help the clubs make some extra money. But I do have an 8-week meet, pre-selected event so that coaches can, it's not for your sectional and junior national level swimmers, but you can get them up the race, it's a plan. So,
let's say you have 1,200 people on your team. You could have your own meet and not let half your kids go to the meet because you have so many damn kids.
Yeah,
what are you trying to do?
Well, the issue is time. We're pools going right now from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. And it's packed the entire time because of space. You can't do certain things because of the amount of kids that are allowed in a lane. So you're limiting that. You're trying to figure out what you can do from there. We've sat down and tried to talk about, we have a Sunday morning area that we have the ability to, we have time. And we were talking about possibly running a meet during that time and every week doing a different group at that time to be able to pull it off. But the rest of the time is taken. It's taken by swim lessons is Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. The meets would be a Sunday morning that we would be able to block off and be able to do. But really time and space are the biggest issues in being able to do something. But also, I apologize, capacity within the building. Certain amount of kids that you're allowed to have, and parents would not be allowed. So you would need what Jimmy was saying, like a live, or Duffy said, would you need a live stream or something like that, just so parents could watch. How did y'all time the meet? What did y'all do? Just stopwatches?
We haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
but that was the idea. We hadn't done it yet. Kevin Milak put something on social media over the weekend. He had a handful of teams come into where he is in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and he said they ran for 13 hours, and they ran 4 lanes of time trials, and each team came in at their own time, and kept their social distance, and the other 4 lanes were for warm up. And I don't remember how many hundreds of kids he said he got through, but it was pretty cool. Derek Gelber. What's up, Derek Gelber?
Hey, yeah, so we did 4 lanes, and we did the whole social distancing, and they finish, and then they get out of the pool, and the other guys are way in the back. They bring them up. So yeah, it was a long process, but and then we had timers.
Well, how about warm-up?
Okay. And you know what? We even suited up. I said, look, let's just suit up. We're not doing anything this summer. Let's just suit up, man. See where we go. And some kids did okay. Their 200s really were not that good, but they're 50 and the 100 were pretty good. All right, so listen, it's 7:30. I want to raise your glass if you're drinking water, orange juice, beer, whatever. Cheers to you coaches out there for hanging on. I know it's been a hell of a 2020, and you guys have done a lot to get through this, and I know it's tough. And all you coaches online, cheers. And also, listen, coaches online, there are people that are watching. If you want to join in on the conversation with these awesome guys, tap my face, okay? And then you can join. You'll start to see all the things, and we'd love to hear from you, hear what you guys are doing all across the nation. I know we have people in Canada and Australia watching, so if you are doing anything different, please let us know. We'd love to hear about it. Because basically Duffy's been all over the world talking and seeing swim teams, and so is Sid. So, and probably everybody, just not me. So, so anyway, love to hear from you guys. All right. So Sid, what do you got for me down there? Do we have any, by the way, coaches online? I see a lot of cheers over there on the right side.
Oh yeah. There's Zabero, Stud, and Gelbert Sortalski. It's a good group we got online tonight. Everybody wanted to see Duffy and Jimmy reunited, but
Neil
those guys, they reunite every weekend. They're always on Zoom calls together. They're like long lost brothers with different mothers.
See, and then David Arlock tapped my face. That's good. I got one tap today, Duffy. But anyway, listen.
Well, Joe, we had a board meeting today for the NCSA, and by the way, Dan Hafner told me a story about you, Brent, that I'm not sure we should tell on this. Maybe stories with Sid. Yes, it might be after dark.
After dark.
But look, David Arlock is on, and I'll tell you that guy and what they do with Fitter and Faster. I have learned so much during this shutdown. I am, and now I think my graph, I was overindulging on the screens for a while, but now I'm back down. I got some sanity in my life, and I'm planning a 30-day Purium cleanse starting next Monday. So I'm excited to go 30 days with just all health. And I'll be much more clear over the next few weeks. But what I see in this whole thing is there are people like that, like the Fitter and Faster guys putting stuff out there. Our athletes are finding ways to get better. That's what we're challenging them with. And it doesn't mean we have to spoon feed them and give them a Zoom class every single day. I think we say, here's a list of great Zoom classes. Here's a list of great seminars. You look at everything that's for free the last 3 months for these kids and for us as coaches. So I'm choosing, because I'm one of the guys still out of my pool, to look at the side that says, where's that silver lining Beisel was talking about? Yeah, we can learn more. We can be more. I can come out of this better. I can do a little more yoga and be a little more flexible. I can do my solid core a little bit better. So I think the lesson, Joe, for everybody out there is, dig your heels in. Come on. It's we're far from over this whole thing, but we're over the worst of it. If we just stay persistent and we get ourselves lined up, we get all our kids in shape. Look, Mike said, hey, the TED Talks. Absolutely. There have been some great TED Talks.
Go Gators.
All right.
Gators. Go Gators, Duffy. Anyway, go Gators. I saw that.
That's my take on it as of today. That's where I am in July.
Jan Ellis just put a Go Gators, and she that's it, man. But
there it is.
And and listen, Sid, we do want to see some abs, okay? We do definitely want to see some abs on you. And that, this brings me to what John T. Skinner was saying the other night, and this goes with Duffy. Duffy, you were out at San Jose Aquatics for a little bit.
Yes, I was.
These kids, so we train, we kill them, right? We kill the kids. We train them very hard, right? They're exhausted. They're destroyed in the summer, okay? Now the kids are doing just piecemeal stuff and just trying to kind of stay in shape. What were they doing at San Jose? Because John T. Skinner on Monday, Sid and Duffy were talking. He was talking about, we don't want to get them too exhausted. yes, they're in good shape and they can hold 200s going 150. He's talking about Troy Dalby, but he didn't want him too exhausted. So what do you think about that, Duff?
Well, you talk about now or way back when?
Well, way back then, I think he's even said, unless John T killed them back then in 1986.
Well, to be fair, John T said his coaching style has changed quite a bit since the Duffy Dillon days of San Jose Aquatics.
Yeah.
Now, but Duffy, and to follow up on that, Joe, Duffy, you answer this, but John T, and I would strongly encourage anybody follow that coach's lead, because I just started getting into that about words and how your language, the brain being the most important most important aspect of the human being. But Duffy, when John T was coaching you and now taking that lesson forward, where are we? Go ahead.
So we did it. John T was pretty cool. Like I came out of Florida pretty beat up, and I was the old guy on the team of a club team, one of the few people swimming after college at that point in time. And he was big on filling the tank. He wanted to fill the aerobic tank, what Bob Bowman calls capacity, before we started doing any volume. So that whole first summer, I really never went anything over pink. We could put in some mileage once a month. We would do a 4-day mini camp, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Not a lot of effort, but we would put in 40 grand on Saturday and Sunday. The Monday through Friday was your typical 3 mornings, 5 afternoons.
Good Lord.
Early on, when I started back at Fort Lauderdale working for Jack Nelson, get a ton of international people that would come through and train. And Yanni Sievinen from Finland was one of the guys that would come through. And Yanni would come through, and he would spend the first 6 weeks of his season going 120,000 meters a week, but nothing over a heart rate of 120. He would go 10 in the morning, 10 at night, doubles Monday through Saturday, off Sunday for 6 weeks. And the guy was the world champion. Maybe I think he even broke a couple world records in there, 200 and 400 IM. And it was just a pleasure to watch him train, because he'd come in and put in the time. He'd put in 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes in the morning, go enjoy the beach all day, come back and do it again in the afternoon. And so there's a lot of swimming, but none of it was hard.
And there's a lot of coaches right now going, man, I could have made that guy even better.
Yeah. So.
Well, if you're training for marathons, I've done a bunch of them, and a lot of it is just long running at conversation pace. So maybe that's what that was in the pool. Many miles, 70 miles a week of running just at talking pace. And then 10 miles, 10 or 15 miles. And Alec Rukas Soya was on the chat. I saw him. He was a triathlete. He does 10 miles every day now. But, you do put in the speed work a little bit, but you're putting in a lot of volume. So yeah, to get to fast, you got to do that. And I'm sure Alec is going to comment. So.
No, but to get back to different strokes for different folks, we've talked a lot about that, Joe, on our various shows. And to get at where we are now, Brent, I'd like to hear from you first. The focus of the training itself. So we've already said that everybody's got less time. We all know that. So the specificity in the first few weeks back, for a guy like me, I want to learn from you. I want to know, what should I do the first week or two we get back in the pool? Like a lot of people are saying, just do stroke, just do this. And then I have my younger coaches, they can't wait to time them and get them into some racing again. But what's your philosophy, Brent, on the short time that you have in the pool with these kids? What are you doing?
Well, actually, we're going 2 hours. And we started weights 2 weeks ago, and we'll be starting doubles next week. So we've been able to do, but I started out a lot of technique, a lot of body position stuff, a lot of control. I go inside out. I always feel like whatever it is, I want to make sure that the core strength is there to be able to, and the external things like the arms, I work on, anchoring in and stuff like that initially. And then slowly, as we get to about week 4, week 5, week 6, I start pushing more interval stuff, more interval training, get them going a little bit. And it's something that I've been doing for the last 3, 4, 5 years. A lot of we haven't gotten to pace work, but right now with nothing to train on, last Saturday, my assistant coach that I'm with, Matt Franks, who does a great job with his group, we basically sat back and we had them race twice and just get up on a block and race, because I feel like right now that's a major part that these kids are going to miss out on. And if we can get them to stand up, I mean, we even talked about doing suits. We didn't do it, but a lot of technique. I loved Sid. I love what you were talking about earlier, the doing other things and using other things. We have meetings Tuesday, Thursday, where we were taking Russell Mark talking about technique. We took Abby Fish stuff, things that everybody's sort of using. And what we did was we would watch what they said, and then we talk about it. And we talk about what they need to be looking for in practice, what the technique they need to be looking for, and explaining to them, which is the hardest thing, that yes, I'm there, but you've got to know what you're doing, not me standing over you saying, change this, change this, change this. So we've also gone to GoPros underwater so they can see themselves. And we created a iCloud account for the kids so that they could put their videos in there and they can go watch themselves. And I think that's so important in society today. We've done it this week, not this week. I'm sorry. We did it 2 weeks ago, and we're planning to do it again in another week, so people can see themselves swim. And I think that's so important because we're such a visual society today that these kids need to see what they're doing and see what they're doing wrong. Because let's face it, sometimes they just won't listen after they hear it 100 times. They start pushing us away mentally.
So, Brent, how do you set that up when you're doing a GoPro practice? How does it work?
One kid takes the camera, and we do an underwater shot, we do a in front shot, and we do a below shot. So all my kids, they basically film each other coming at them. Like they film them. They'll go underwater and they'll film over the top, and then they'll get into another lane and they'll take a shot. And we spend about 45 minutes just videotaping. And then basically we'll watch one of those videos, for instance, and I'll say, hey, now go watch yourself and how you do it and the mistakes that you make in the pool. See how that's going to help you.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, Sid.
Great stuff. Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's say you're starting heavy training next Monday because you got doubles and you did weights and all that stuff. So let's say you have 3 or 4 kids swimming really well at the end of July, and you're like, wow, we actually need to get you up on the block and like see what you can go. But USA Swimming just sent all of us something a few days ago saying no sanctions. Okay. Now, and then you know what? And then August, obviously, I mean, Sid's not going to be in next week, I don't think. I mean, unless Sid tell me different. So, and they said uneven playing field. Okay. Well, what if it goes into August and Brent, you have, or Jimmy, you have swimmers that, wow, you need to get up on the block because, they're few and far between where you're going really, really fast. What then? We can't sanction a meet till September, October. What do you do? What do you tell the kid? I mean, shut it down, slow down. Keep training.
I think you have to keep training, but again, I understand the even playing field, but why are we penalizing the kids that are training?
I agree. I don't understand the even playing field, but you know what?
Oh, I do. I do because I think that there are teams that are going to be out there that are going to recruit saying, hey, we can swim. We can get you on a block.
True,
We're talking about
true.
recruiting. So I do understand what USA Swimming, and I do understand like North Texas has said the same thing. I completely get it. It's, we've got kids that are from other teams coming in, but we're like, y'all are month to month. We don't want you to join our team. You when this is over, if you like us, yeah, but it's more of let's protect what's going on in North Texas. Let's protect the other teams in the area that might be struggling to keep these kids associated with their teams. I don't think it's fair and I don't think it's right to be able to do that. But to help them, I think is what we've got to be doing as a swimming community.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I just feel bad for the kids if they're feeling really good and swimming fast in practice. I think they should be allowed to get a time.
I have no problem if sanctions in August were to happen, even though we're obviously not going to have much time. we're doing everything we can on the beach, and in the short pool, we have a 15-yard indoor lesson pool where we're doing chords. But the important thing to me right now is getting these kids mentally and emotionally to the other side, believing in themselves, and whether they've had the pool like Jimmy for 5 weeks or not. You know, the important thing is they've got to believe in themselves, and we do need to return to competition. And if it's the virtual meets or the things like Kevin did, you know, Kevin, I mean, heads up, you know, he's always got innovative stuff going on. You know why? Because he came from Bob Gillette, and he's got that mind. He's always thinking, he's always working. I love Kevin. But the idea that it's going to change, USA Swimming, FINA, Worldwide, ISL, everything's changing. So what we do with it is up to us, and how our kids interpret it is up to us. And I think it's really important that we do everything we can to let the kids know that it's just a different way to be great. It's a different challenge, a different way. I saw Josh Zukowski's father. He used to be, you know, oh, he has a son. Now, no, and everybody knows Coach Jonathan through his son, Josh. And how will USA Swimming determine junior, senior national team if no meets? Wow, there's nobody in this group that's going to answer that, Jonathan.
Well,
not qualified.
Actually, I've got one that's on junior national team, and they just rolled it over a year.
They just sent
nice.
another year. What did they send?
Basically, the girl that I had on from last year is now still going to be on it this year.
Well, you know, I get it. I mean, but we did have some meets before it went down, and we might have some other meets before it goes over. I don't know. I see.
Well, maybe they had a few more. Maybe they had a few more kids.
Well, this isn't helping like the sectional and above your junior national level, but today, I mean, well, actually, the last couple of days, I'm fortunate enough I have a microphone speaker there, and we were doing race 25s today with the little kids, and I'm announcing it, you know, first place, second place, third place, and they were having a blast. And they were just, we didn't need a sanction for it, but I mean, the kids, you know, then we were doing a fast kicking set, you know, just sprint 25s kicking. They're like, Coach, are you going to announce the microphone? I was like, realized they were having fun with it, you know, and they were getting up and racing. I think if you just get them up and racing and find creative ways to let them have fun. I mean, it's not helping our national level kids, but, you know, my age group kids were having a blast today. So.
By the way, did you know that Jimmy started? You started that from scratch, right, Jimmy?
Well, there was a team here, but by the time I got back up here, my assistant coach, Jeff Nelson, held it together, and there was basically 6 kids remaining. So
nice.
So
you had 6 standing there, and what'd you say to him? You're like, okay, you ready to freaking go? Because we're going to get at it. What'd you say to him?
Well,
that's what I mean, get ready, horses.
We actually picked up a lot real quick because the school has, you know, the after school care, and I know I ran a bunch off that first year, so it was a learning experience, you know, trying to do what I did in Florida, not realizing that they weren't used to it. So, but now we're picking up again. The kids are having fun, and you know, we're racing, and team is growing, and my master's program is really growing. We hit 32 for masters. I only had 12 in Florida. It's crazy.
All right, so here's where we are, Joe. When I think about creativity, I'm seeing guys that get it done, and I know you've done it up there. Besides just creativity in the pool, you guys, Joe has built this incredible addition to his patio by his pool, where his koi pond is. And I don't know how the guy does it. He coaches 6, 8, 12 hours a day, and then he comes home and he pounds wood for another 2 or 3. And, you know, it's unbelievable. He's got it. So when the creativity button goes, when you guys are looking at where do we go, what can we do different? There's a way to get our kids faster we haven't done yet. And I swear I think this 2020 is going to give us a little chance to do that. But I was curious if anybody's found anything different during this time that they really would hang their hat on and say, hey, I love the fact that I've learned this, and I'm not going to give this up. This is still going to be a part of my program. We'll go around the horn. I'll tell you what mine is at the end. Joe, let's start with you. What is the one thing you've learned that you say, you know what, I am going to do more of this. This is a good thing.
You're talking about personal or in the pool?
No, I mean for the kids in the pool, like swimming.
So because we have so many groups for senior, they're so separated because we only have 2 to a lane. It's really awesome to just slow down. And if they make a mistake, stop everybody. And I can't believe I'm talking about seniors this way because they should already know it. But teaching them how to do a turn or do it right instead of me seeing the junk turn all the time. But the ability to stop because we're not in a hurry for anything, really. I mean, so the ability to stop, take a breath, do stuff right, everybody understand it and move on. I think that's a big, big, big benefit right now.
Excellent point. Brent, what about you? Give us something.
I think he nailed it. I think the why is so important these days. And I think with all the time that we have, I think we talked about earlier, the videos and stuff like that, being able to take the why and explain a little bit better because they got nowhere else to go. I mean, they're stuck with us. So we're able to sit there and educate a little bit more. And that's something I told the kids. I said, I hope that y'all are smarter when this is done. I said, what I took away from this was I remember sitting and listening to Eddie Reese talk to Brendan Hansen, and he didn't tell him anything. He asked questions and Brendan answered them. And I listened to that conversation as a coach, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Excellent. Good stuff. How about you, Duffy? What do you got?
So yeah, same thing. Building on that with again, we're not in a hurry. Our kids are really happy to be out of the house. They're happy to not be on another Zoom call, whether it's for dry land training or for school or for whatever it was. And then the thing I'm in a community where we started a club program so that we would have a feeder program before kids learned how to swim in the high school. So we actually start with, we have a full-time strength and conditioning coach at our high school that works with all of our sports. And we're still focused on athleticism and making better athletes and then transferring that in the pool. As Joe was talking about with his time trials, we've gotten better at the 200 and 500, but we've gotten pretty good at the 50 and the 100s. But we don't have 6-8 years of age group swimmers coming into our high school kids. Some kids are learning to swim at 14. I mean, literally learning how to swim and put their face in the water at 14. But if you make them a pretty decent athlete and teach them good skills, and again, my girl season doesn't start till mid-November if it starts on time. My boy season got canceled and doesn't start till next February. So we've got nothing but time. So we're not in a hurry. We're enjoying each other, making sure everybody's okay. That's important. Everybody's got some family challenges at home. And so we're just making sure that we're checking their overall well-being. And then, like I said, focusing on athleticism and not being in a hurry because we don't know where it's going to end.
Good points. Very good. Coach Jimmy?
Everything you guys, they've already said, but I've really kind of learned. I mean, it's fun because I'm indoors now and we can videotape. I think videotaping is very important. And right now it's 12 kids to 2 coaches. It's awesome. We're having a great time. And we could pull the kids out of the pool, let them see what they're doing wrong with the videotape. I have my laptop on deck, some days and get to show them some of those Go Swim videos or Fitter Faster videos and, just in between mix it up. And, I do continue to do more videotape and is definitely something I want to continue.
That's awesome.
All
Sid.
right, Joe, before I give it to you, I'm gonna tell you what I have. There's 3 things. There's 3 things I've learned this off season, this shutdown period, and then I'll throw it back to you. Okay. And one, I saw Mike Switalski, right, the swimmer coach relationships have grown stronger. I strongly feel that, because we've been in small groups, and I see it with my main coaches, and I've got a great new age group coach who she also teaches in the middle school, and we're doing things, and my two main full-time coaches are on the beach 5 days, and that brings me to number 2, the beach. I'm Mr. Open Water, and I freaking can't believe I've been walking on eggshells for 15 years here, Joe, because I don't want to force people to do open water. Well, now we are forced to do open water, and the ocean has been just a fantastic teacher. What a wonderful playground, the sand, the sea, and it changes every day. Today, it was a lake. There wasn't even a ripple when we got there at 6:30. We watched the sunrise. It's like religion. Okay. So, I mean, those are my 1 and 2. And then number 3, Joe, just being a part of this with you, this type of experience, this learning. I mean, like I said, I've been up and down on the screens, but being able to touch back. We had a thing. My brother and I got in touch with all of our. Sorry, I'm out here, and I'm in the garage bar, so it's like the way it is. But, from elementary school, and so I think the communication aspect for all of us, for all of us to find a place, it's been a challenge for sure. We don't know. For you guys that haven't been on Brent, follow me this. And Brent, maybe you did an open water swim or two, but I know it's like a giant open water swim. You don't know what
breaststroke doesn't work in the ocean. Breaststroke doesn't work in the ocean.
And hearing things happening, and whoa, I got to change here. You just don't know when it's going to be over.
Was the inch
I love the chance. The coaches' happy hour brings for people like us just to sit out and shoot the breeze. And Frank's been a great supporter. His kids are having a blast. He does run, swim, run, and
I'm going to bring. Listen, I'm going to bring some kids down there, and we're going to swim in the ocean. But listen, I got a quick story. We've only got 3 minutes left, and I know that Brent's got a story about Eddie, and I know that Duffy and Jimmy have about 50.
No.
I know. And no, Brent, we'll run out of time. That's what I'm saying.
Good, that works.
But Duffy and Jimmy have some story about Jack Nelson for sure. But I'm going to tell you what Craig Beardsley told me today. Okay. I'm on the phone with Craig Beardsley. He goes, "Oh, I got a funny story because Tim McKee was on Sid's show a while back." And he goes, "All right. So the 72 Olympics, right? It was a very crazy time. Athletes were getting killed. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on. Spitz was on the podium for his 7th medal, getting his 7th medal, the full-blown ceremony. Okay. Tim McKee, the joker he is, climbs up on the 10 meter. Okay. He's up there. He wanted to watch and see the whole entire experience from the 10 meter. So he is leaning over, laying over, looking down, looking at Spitz get his 7th medal. And everybody's looking up going, oh my gosh. So people are starting to freak out that there's someone on the 10 meter going to hurt Mark Spitz or whatever. So they start to send guards up. Okay. They're sending them up and people are going, McKee. So he sees them coming up and he stands on the end and turns around and looks at these guys. Does a salute and does a backflip and lands in the water. This is at the Olympic Games. So
true story, 1972 Munich. And Joe, the beautiful thing about the Swim Monkey is if you love that story, you can go to the Swim Monkey at Florida Swim Network and pull up the archives of stories with Sid. Look for Frank Keefe and Tim McKee from about 4 weeks ago. Timmy told that story, but Joe, that's a beauty.
That is a beauty. Now, Duffy and Jimmy, I need a minute story about Jack because I know you got him. So just give me a minute and we'll get the heck out of here. I'll let you guys get back to your work.
Well, the quick one I have is actually as an adult when I went back for him. It's not all that funny, but it showed how powerful he was and how much wisdom he had. I came back to work for him. It's got to be 20 years ago now, 22 years ago. And I was working with the kind of beginning and intermediate senior kids. And I had a decent team in St. Louis with some high level junior national kids, some junior national champions, some national qualifiers. And I wasn't dealing with those types of kids when I started at Fort Lauderdale because those were the kids he was working with. And I was getting pretty frustrated one day. And he just came over kind of quietly and he said, "Hey, how long did it take you to realize that not all the kids you coach are like you. And I said, well, up until that moment, I hadn't realized that. But now that I do, now that I'll take a different approach, because I had been a pretty motivated athlete. Those that knew me growing up would say that I had a pretty motivated dad. But I never noticed it because I was highly motivated. And obviously I grew up swimming for Jack and all the great age group coaches that we had. So I knew why I wanted to be at the pool. And up until that moment, I had made the assumption that that's why all the kids that I'd ever coached had gone there. But I had to form a new skill set to find a different way to reach more kids. And I think in a moment, he made me a better coach.
So if you guys after the show, I want to stay on for a couple of minutes because you guys are awesome. Just stay on for a couple more minutes. But there is a funny thing, and I know it's 8:00 and we got to get out here. And I appreciate all your time, guys. But Duffy in the 80s, and I wish that we had a picture of this. Okay, this is at University of Florida. So we would sneak in, we would sell all our tickets, and we would sneak back in. But that's a whole nother show. Okay, but he would sit down there and make adult beverages in between the first and second half. Well, he would be dressed like who, Duffy? Like Guns N' Roses or Whitesnake or one of them. Yes. Tell me who it is. You'd have your hair up.
Depends what year. Billy Idol for a couple of years.
Dude. And then he had the grass skirt bar. I mean, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was awesome. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, guys,
that happened in Florida?
We had the Isla Mirati.
That happened in Florida? Stuff like that?
Yes.
In my dorm room. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Hey, Joe, I got to give my daughter a shout out. She turned 18 today, so I want to wish her happy birthday. So.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
18
well, guys,
now, she's an adult. You don't even have to worry about her anymore, Jimmy. It's all over.
Well, best of luck, guys, and I'll see you guys on the pool deck. We do have a lot of shows on Swim Monkey. There's food shows. There's cool tool shows. There's stories with Sid. We have Sid's wife, Kara, does an awesome show on Sunday. So you guys tune in. All you coaches are online. There's a lot of good stuff. Check us out. And we will see you guys next time.
Thanks for doing this, guys.
Yeah,
well
this
done.
is amazing.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Join us on the Swim Monkey.
Swim
Monkey.
Monkey TV. On the Monkey.